welcome to RocGrowth Candids. We are here to learn more and learn from Ken Rosenfeld, who is the Chief Executive Officer, the President, and co-founder of eHealth Technologies. It was started in 2006 with 4 people. It now has 230 families that, as Ken puts it, depend on him and his team, and that means he takes it seriously. eHealth fosters a corporate culture of collaboration and has won numerous awards, including the Clued-In Senior Management Award, which is based on employees' reviews, and it was received just a few weeks ago. And management having a clue, that's a pretty big compliment. Welcome, Ken. Tell us about eHealth Technologies.
Thank you. eHealth Technologies. So we started, as you said, in 2006. It was all about, and what I might do to explain it is share a little story, because I think it's a common experience, which is someone who might be close to you, or you know of people who have been diagnosed with, say, cancer, or they have a serious illness, and they're going to go to an institution to get advanced care. A lot of times, and most of the time, even still today, they say, that's fine, we'll see you, but you need to go get your images, your MRIs, and you need to get your lab results, and you need to get all these different medical records, and get them to us, and then we'll figure out when we can see you and what we're going to do about you. Right?
Could be months, right?
Right. And that's obviously an incredibly stressful time for anyone who's been newly diagnosed with some type of health issue. What we do is we work with hospitals all around the country who are receiving these types of patients, and we take that burden completely off of the patients, completely off of the institution, so that all of the medical information, all the health history, all the images, all the pathology results, all of everything that is needed to ensure that their clinician who's now going to see them is prepared to treat that patient, has everything that they need. And we pull all that information together, and we deliver it electronically to the hospital in a format that's appropriate for that clinician to be able to have a very effective review of that health history of a patient.
So the hospital signs on to you with you.
Right. So
and how many do you have since
so we have around
years?
75 hospitals all around the country. We're in 30 states. These are places that are getting a lot of patients being referred into in places like MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston. But these are name brand facilities that many people are familiar with, places like Cleveland Clinic, Stanford, UCLA, Memorial Sloan Kettering, here closer to home. So
hospitals where people are coming from
right.
all over the country, even all over the world.
Right.
So you have a staff of now 230, you said? And so how do they gather this information?
So we have what we call a technology-enabled service. So there's a lot of technology that we leverage to make sure that we can do this very efficiently, very rapidly. And also, obviously, you need to do it with a lot of security, and you need to do it accurately. But the challenge we still have today is that as much as we have Facebook and we have Twitter and we have all this information about ourselves online, it's still very hard to get a complete medical history electronically or interoperably.
That's a very personal.
Right. So that's why it's a struggle for patients to try to go get their information, because they have to sometimes walk into a hospital, give them their driver's license, pay money in order to get their medical records, information about themselves.
Right.
That's really their information to have. Right. And so we try to, really work to overcome that. And still today we need people who are going to contact these facilities all around the country to say, hey, Ken Rosenfeld's coming in, he's been diagnosed, we need to get this information about him so he can be treated. And so we have people who contact, provider offices and dialysis centers and labs and other places like that in order to ensure that information is delivered quickly.
And you've been in this field of health information, correct?
Yes.
Like you said, almost, 30 years. So you started in the
It's over 30
Oh,
years now.
okay. Well, I tried to help you out, Ken.
No, it's not gray hair.
That doesn't mean anything.
Right.
though.
We're young entrepreneurs, right?
That's right. That's what Richard said. So you started in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then a company that you started there, right, was acquired by Kodak?
Well, I was with a small entrepreneurial company focused in the medical imaging side. And there's capabilities around medical imaging that we have at eHealth Technologies that we leverage as well in a number of ways also here locally. Yeah, it was a small company. It was an entrepreneurial company, very innovative about dealing with medical images and dealing with them electronically and digitally and making sure that radiologists can be very effective in what they do. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, through a series of mergers and acquisitions, that became part of Kodak.
And that brought you here.
And ultimately, that's what brought me here. They decided, oh, yeah, you guys in California, we want you here in Rochester. So that's what we did. And brought my family here in 2003. And by the way, my wife, who's sitting there, is a native Californian, and she loves it here. By the way. Yes.
All right. And your son's here, too. It's great to see you guys here. So you came here, and you still stayed with this medical information, and you were doing that with Kodak. And what was that experience like, being with Kodak, since so many families here have done that?
Well, it's certainly interesting. I think a lot of people may have a common experience. We see a lot of entrepreneurial successes coming out of people who are at Xerox, who are at Kodak, who are at Bausch & Lomb. For me, once you get a taste of being in an innovative company, and not to say that Kodak wasn't innovative, but it had a tremendous amount of weight over you from a standpoint of bureaucracy and other issues that come in an organization of that size. So I've always, and for a long time, continued to desire getting into a more entrepreneurial effort. It's getting that rush that you get, really, mm-hmm. from actually doing something and then seeing the results of what you're doing. And so it was great to find the opportunity ultimately to start eHealth Technologies, 3 years after I moved here to Rochester.
Right. And how'd you do it? Who was here to help you? Who
Well, part of it is keeping an eye out for that type of thing. And ultimately was coming together with a small group of people who said, we have this idea, right? And I came with a background in technology and in business management and really worldwide business management. And it took time to look at this idea and say, we really do have a pain point here in healthcare. We really do have an unaddressed need, and I think there's something here. And so I jumped in, fully jumped in. I was able to navigate a severance from Kodak that helped me kind of fully jump in, but never looked back. But sometimes I liken it to entrepreneurship. You're kind of going up in a plane, and you're ready to go, and you kind of dive out of the plane, and then you think about if you have a parachute or not. But it's a little bit scary, particularly when you have a family.
I think it's a lot scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you find it a lot scary. So tell us how you got from 4 people to 230, and what brought you through, and why did you stay here when you could have gone back to California or gone anywhere else in the world?
Well, I'll start with here. Here, there's an amazing group of people here in Rochester. Amazing group of people. I mean, I feel so blessed every day to have the team around me that I have. And before I kind of jump in a little bit of how we got there, I also speak every year to this class at Cornell on entrepreneurship, and one of the questions
just the other day
came
you did
up.
that.
Yes, and it's because they were talking about, well, is it lonely, with entrepreneurship, and and I was thinking about it, and certainly you have a responsibility that you feel a very weighty responsibility, particularly when you get a company of 230 families that are in that company. But really, for me, what makes entrepreneurship exciting is actually it's the teamwork, and it's the ability to come together, because you can't do it yourself. You need to have great people around you who have the same excitement and passion and vision. And when you get to work with a group of people like that, that's incredible.
Yeah,
That's incredible. And so I think of entrepreneurship more as a team sport than a solo sport. But the, you know, initially for us, it was, well, there's one thing that we had to figure out, right? Who are you going to be, right? Who are you going to be? When we started this service to go get records for patients, who are you going to be? And one of the challenges I saw at Kodak is that they were very good at products, very good at building products, but maybe not so good at services, right? And I felt like we needed to make a choice that if we're going to be successful, we had to focus on what we're going to do. Are we going to build a product, or are we going to provide a service? And we decided very early on, we're going to be all about providing a service. And so we bring great technology and great capabilities that we've developed to bear, but it's all about providing a service. And so early on, that was the focus. How do we, in the best possible way, provide a service? And what does that mean? And what that means is making sure that salespeople are compensated in the right way that's appropriate for services. It means that you have exceptional customer support, and that you focus on execution so that you always come through for the customer, and that because you're earning your business over and over and over and over again as a service. So a lot of it was making that decision early on that we're about providing a service and selling a service, and then and making sure the organization was tailored that way. And the other part is we didn't want to spend months or years trying to build a product and then seeing if we're going to be successful about it. We wanted to very quickly turn to being able to have something that was of quality, that was of value, get it out there, and then keep building on that. So it was kind of trying to get quickly to revenue so that you start getting more customers, and then you get a natural progression, a positive cycle, and you can continue to build that forward. So that was really the thesis, if you will, in starting out eHealth Technologies. And we've grown every year. Every year we've been in existence.
Quite dramatically. Can you talk about that?
So, absolutely. And so, since 2007, we have around 75% compound annual growth rate for the company. But what was interesting is we did really have an opportunity to shift from being a startup to being really a growth stage company. And that happened in early 2014. So that's when I took over at
and really did a revamp.
Yeah, and so we had a company with 10 million of recurring revenue that we kind of came in and we treated like a startup.
Because you're addicted, aren't you?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And had the opportunity to get a tremendous team around me that believed in this. Some of them are here, like Chad Malone, was really cool. He's an MD. It was great to get that experience.
Expertise, sure.
And and it's kind of working together. A lot of ideas, in fact, that Chad had around how do we take that next step. And how we took that next step was really broadening our vision. And it's broadening our vision to say we were selling into clinical departments. So we were very good in transplant, for example. And we were very good in cancer in what we were doing. There was a clear and present need, but we were talking to the clinical departments themselves in these hospitals. But then we're saying, but this is really important to the healthcare institution as a whole. And Chad and all of us working together were able to figure out how to come together and create and really describe in a very effective way how we were bringing benefit to the entire healthcare institution. And it came to patients having a much greater experience coming into an institution. That means more patients will come there, by the way, which is really good for hospitals.
If you don't get asked the same question over and over again.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of the difference. We had a really interesting stat just recently that late last year we had a study done with our services at a major Midwestern institution. And the difference is a patient calling up saying, I've just been diagnosed with cancer. I need to see someone. I need an appointment. And their response to you is, great. We're going to set you up on Wednesday. Just show up. We got the rest. All you have to worry about is showing up. And at this major Midwestern institution, they reduced no-show rates from around 8% to essentially 0 from the standpoint of doing that. And because we were able to get all the information they needed quickly, so this is in surgical oncology, they were able to reduce time to surgery from 3 weeks down to less than a week. So, and it's all about having that information. So when you see that type of impactful result, we're able to explain it's the right thing to do for patients. It's the right thing to do for your institution. It's the right thing to do for your doctors. And being able to pull all that together made a huge impact in our ability to grow the organization. So, over the last, 2 going on 3 years, we've have sustained 30% plus growth rates that really accelerated the growth curve of the company.
And it's really, you really got in at a good time too, wasn't it? When people were ready for this, we were sharing more of ourselves, so this became a little bit easier as well.
It is a good time because healthcare has a lot of challenges. We all know the challenges that are in healthcare today, and institutions actually are more competitive. But I think what's really kind of cool is that they're seeing that in order to be competitive, they have to provide a better patient experience.
It's all about the
Right?
service.
It becomes patient-centered, and that's if that happens, that's a really good thing, right? And that's a good thing. And I think things are aligning where hospitals are realizing there's significant financial implications to them around this. So having that great patient experience has become a lot more important. And we've certainly tried to play our role in helping ensure that there's that great patient experience.
In talking about experience, let's talk about some of the things that are happening at your place in Henrietta, because you're also adding, 11,000 square feet?
Yes. Yeah. If you go along the thruway,
not a new bathroom.
You're going by like Cooper Vision. Our building is right after it, and you should see tractors and mud and stuff like that.
And if you don't, tell Ken. You've won a lot of these awards because of the culture that you've incorporated there, if you can put it that way. Why was that important to you?
Well, I personally have a very strong belief that, number one, everyone in the organization should really understand why you're doing what you're doing, right? And if everyone can get behind why you're doing what you're doing, that is tremendous. It makes it a little easier when you say you're doing what you're doing because ultimately we're trying to help patients get better health care and get better faster.
Very often we're one of those patients.
Yeah. But we talk about that. We talk about that. We share stories. And I'll share a story I have where every month I have a lunch with the employees that are celebrating an anniversary in that month. And we sit and we talk and we have a good time together and we play lunch and I ask them, share something interesting about yourself and share something that you think is good about working here and share something that we can do better. And we've actually taken a lot of actions. That's the best part, figuring out what we can do better, because we've taken a lot of actions on that. But this one lady, one of the people in our service center, when what she likes about eHealth, she was like hesitating, and I could see her getting emotional, and she did get emotional. She says, I have a tremendous number of health issues in my family. My mom's going through all kinds of issues and all that. When I know every day that I'm doing what I'm doing, it means everything to me. And to hear that from your employees and all that is just like, okay, this we're doing something right here, and that was really impactful to me too. But ultimately, it's a culture about we're all together, we're all rowing the same boat, we're open with each other, we communicate. We have something we call the 7 C's, which are, words that all begin with C, which is around commitments and communication and collaboration.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the seven C's.
Right. Well, it's a little.
I didn't know. I thought it was, a Friday thing.
Like communication, it's bring bad news quickly.
Right. Very
Right?
good.
We
Yes.
celebrate people who will come say, look, I messed up, or there's this problem. I need to make sure people know about it. That's great, because then we get to know it early in that cycle, and we can work together to
That's
resolve
to be a
it.
culture of
Right,
trust then.
Right, absolutely. And celebration is a huge part of what we do. We have all kinds of events, and we try to make sure that people have fun too, because
Yeah,
we are spending a lot of time.
You have to have that.
together.
I guess you have amazing Star Wars themed display and culture, including Friday
Yeah, our
afternoon
IT
mock battles.
Our RT group is great.
Oh, RIT.
Yeah.
Geeks rule, man.
Yeah.
We're all geeks.
We all work to have fun.
So you find that
yeah.
having that letting loose time is good for everybody.
Absolutely. No, it's about knowing that you are all together working towards something. We all have to work hard. There's tremendous pressures in our industry. There's tremendous pressures around, patient privacy and security that we have to implement in our organization. And we have a lot of expectations of people around protecting that patient's privacy. So, so there can be, and there's a lot of stress in ensuring that we get things turned around quickly so that patients can get their appointment and have the information. So if you can't have that overarching, we're all in this together, we're all fighting the good fight here.
You can become one of those patients who needs because of the
that's
stress.
critical to this.
Who needs that.
That's critical to this.
Do we have a few minutes? 3, okay.
Yeah.
And just so and we're going to take some questions from the audience. But just talk about that privacy, because we're all here and we're very concerned. That is very private information. How do you keep that from getting spread everywhere?
We have, it takes a lot of work.
And
it's a tremendous investment. We have a tremendous amount of, I won't go into details of the IT infrastructure we have, but there's a significant IT infrastructure that we have in place to protect what we have. And, everything from anti-ransomware to intrusion detection systems to all these different things that we have. We have to be secure. If we run into any issues, it's the end of our business, right? If any major issues, it's the end of our business. Plus, obviously, it's the right thing to do, right? To ensure their security. But the challenge today is you can have all the IT you want. If someone gets a phishing email, right? Because they figure out what your email address is, first dot last at eHealthTechnologies.com, right? Through social engineering, they can get in there and try to, get access to our systems. So we do our own social engineering, right? We actually send out fake phishing emails and track what happens for education. It's not like we're going in and we're punishing people for clicking on a link, but it provides an opportunity for us to do further education about this. We had someone who, we have all badges and we have to swipe in and all this type of stuff, and we have someone come in without a badge to see how far they could get into the facility. Right?
That would be a fun thing to do,
So
wouldn't it?
it has to be, you have to think about these things, and you have to think about an approach that looks at more than just, say, a technical security level.
Do they have to play Darth Vader on a Friday?
Darth Vader masks will stop at the door. Yeah.
Thank you, Ken Rosenfeld from eHealth Technologies.